Hey, good day, fellow deal makers. Welcome to the Deal Scout. On today's show, we're going to have a conversation with a guy who's been in real estate super long time. His family's been doing it. He runs a fund. He's doing all sorts of cool stuff in the deal world. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Chip to the show. Chip, welcome, man.
Hey, well, thanks for having me, Josh. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right. So you're also in the beautiful state of Florida. Why don't you kind of give us an idea about who you are and what are you up to?
Yeah, well, I'm a Florida native. Came from other Florida natives, multiple generations here in the state of Florida. So pretty rare these days, but I would say that's an important thing about me. And like you said, my family has been doing real estate and real estate development and involved in the real estate process for multiple generations. Um, so I would consider myself somewhat a real estate guy. My first real business, I owned a Coldwell Banker real estate franchise in Costa Rica. I am bilingual. I speak Spanish and consider myself a citizen of the world, globetrotter, surfer extraordinaire, who has figured out how to finance my kind of surfer globetrotter lifestyle by leveraging the knowledge that I have with real estate and other business opportunities that come along, and then I found over the course of my lifetime.
So pretty much you're a surfer who wanted to travel surfing in Costa Rica and all these cool places, and you had to find a way to support it. So you learned real estate to support your surfing habit, right?
Pretty much, yeah. The real estate addiction has been supported by real estate and other, plethora of other business, opportunities that I've done over the years. I'm a bit of a serial entrepreneur, but yeah, it all just really boils down to how can I go surf more?
I got it. I got it. Yeah. So, all right. So, kind of give an idea of how you went from, getting started as your family in real estate to owning a Codwell Banker franchise in Costa Rica.
Well, it just kind of happened. I've always been around real estate. My mother's family, they were spent, a lot of time there and had businesses in Marion County where you are. They were originally in the phosphate business, phosphate and timber. So from having phosphate and timber, they obviously had land. At some point, phosphate wasn't a viable thing to dig out of the ground anymore, not the most environmentally friendly thing. And over time, they started developing that real estate and selling that real estate off. So I grew up around seeing, real estate developments. My grandfather did some real estate developments there in Marion County, and also in Duval County. And my dad was in agricultural lending and finance, and then went on to be a real estate broker. Stepmom's a real estate broker. So it's always around the business. And I was actually, my degree is in Spanish and Latin American studies, so it had nothing to do with real estate or business per se, but was just always kind of around the business and became very proficient at speaking Spanish because I was trying to go surf all over Latin America, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, places like that. And I had actually purchased my first real estate deal was in 1999. I had just finished my junior year at Flagler College, mainly surfing, a little bit of college, a lot of surfing.
Yeah.
And myself and my two roommates at the time, we had we had been to Costa Rica, we'd been to Puerto Rico, we had been around surfing in Latin America, knew that there was an opportunity there and ultimately that we wanted to be down there. And we were renting a house at the time in St. Augustine, and our landlord, who was also a real estate broker, approached us with this opportunity. He said, "Hey, I just got back from Nicaragua. The surf is insane." He happened to also be a surfer, and surf is insane. And I came across this guy. He's actually from Jacksonville. He's been living down there. He's a pioneer. He's scouted it all out. He's put together this deal. He's subdivided these lots. They're $5,000, and he'll actually give you a 10% participation in his company. So over time, that $5,000 would actually come back to you, and the lot would be essentially for free. It's basically how he was, underwriting his deal, right? He was, giving us some equity back for giving us some money plus a piece of land. We never did get one dime back on the equity piece. We never got any payments, but we did get our piece of land, and we still own it today. And the three of us bought this piece of land for $5,000 in Nicaragua in 1999, $1,750 a piece. So we forewent drinking beer for a couple months, and got, that was our first real estate deal. And then from there, graduated. My next deal that I did was actually with my wife. I got married really young. I was 24 years old, and we bought this townhouse about a block and a half from the beach. We had $11,000 to our name, and my wife found this deal in the newspaper for sale. She called the lady up, this nice old German lady, and at the time it was right after the tech bubble. You know, the real estate hadn't quite started to take off. That cycle hadn't really started, and not a lot of people were buying. So we convinced this lady to owner finance the deal to us, 7% interest, which sounds like a lot of interest these days. That's a very expensive rate these days. At the time, it wasn't so outlandish. So we get this deal with 11 grand, you know, we live there, we rehab it. You know, the market starts to move, and in about a year or so later, the property went from a $95,000 value where we bought it. I did all the rehab myself. You know, on the weekends, I was actually teaching Spanish at the time, middle school, and property went up and we sold it for 239 grand. And we took the proceeds and we went to Costa Rica and started working for a broker down there. And then after about a year and a lot of immediate success, one of the closing attorneys that I was using quite frequently represented Coldwell Banker, and they were looking to open franchises in Costa Rica. And he said, "Hey man, these guys are looking for franchisees. I think you're the right guy. I can hook the deal up." So we ended up purchasing a franchise, built that business, and then rode a great wave, you know, up to about 2008. You know, started out just doing real estate brokerage. Then it was, you know, buying our own deals, then building our own projects, syndicating deals, self-directing people's IRAs, to do syndication of deals. And we had a lot of success. I mean, a whole lot of success. We started doing projects not only in Costa Rica, we also branched out to Nicaragua since I had been there previously. I did a 120 lot gated community up there, anchored by a boutique hotel, which I still own today. And a couple other projects there. We went into Panama, we bought an island, syndicated the deal there. You know, and then come around the beginning of 2008, someone actually came to me and said, "Hey, we'd like to buy your franchise." And I was like, "Well, I'd like to sell you my franchise because I don't really need this Coldwell Banker name anymore. And I'm just focusing more on real estate development and selling my own product, and was kind of sick of selling other people's things." So that was our focus. And then obviously 2008, end of 2008, beginning of 2009 happened, you know, everything leading up to that point. And we were stuck with a bunch of land that we had to figure out how to get rid of over the course of the next 4 years. So it took a little hiatus from real estate at that moment and was, you know, focusing on trying to disposition some of our assets. Fortunately for us, we didn't really have any debt. It was all equity. It wasn't a lot of debt. So it was just, you know, moving over a long period of time of getting rid of those assets. And I actually got into the call center business at that time in Costa Rica and started working on lead generation. And we worked for, you know, several different companies in the financial services industry, you know, doing loan modifications, debt settlement, working for attorneys, doing stuff with, you know, finding opportunities for them, you know, clients for, you know, foreclosure stuff, all kinds of different, at the time, that was kind of the big thing with the, you know, a bunch of attorneys doing a lot of that work. So we got kind of wrapped up into that. And that ultimately moved into a lot more focus and lead generation, call center work. And then ultimately in 2012 came back to St. Augustine, where I reside now. Went on to get involved with construction technology, you know, launched that through Latin America. Started another real estate brokerage in St. Augustine. And then we do a lot of marketing for regional home builders and developers, and also real estate agents, helping to drive traffic for them, and working with tying in different technology to assist in converting their leads into sales. You know, and that's where we're at today. And the main company that I run is called McGraw, the McGraw Agency, and we do focus largely on real estate marketing today, and we still do a little bit of real estate stuff on the side, you know, our own little projects and things like that. And my wife's actually about to get into the business. She's just got a real estate license finally after 20 years of focusing on being mom. So excited about that. My oldest son is sophomore at UCF, and he's looking to also get his real estate license, wants to get into the business. So, you know, that's a lot of information, Josh, and I just regurgitated to you. I kind of vomited on you, but that's that's kind of where it all began.
Yeah. So your son would be third generation real estate professional, right? Fourth generation. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy, man.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I worked with your family here in Ocala in Marion County because when I got my license when I was 18. I grew up on a construction site.
Mm-hmm.
I got my license, and the first place I hung it was at Caldwell Banker. And I think that's
Okay.
where I met
Where Kathy's at.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I think that's where I met her.
Kathy
so,
and Summer. Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Kathy and Summer. I worked with you guys probably 2002-ish, 3-ish. Wow. So they've been doing it for a long time. They were absolutely great. In the process of you know, owning your first real estate deal and kind of doing international deals, you kind of started, you know, international, and then you kind of brought it in. I mean, would you consider that international, you know, South America and all that?
Yeah, it's definitely international. It's a whole set of different rules, regulations, you know, a lot of other things to consider. But I mean, I took the knowledge of real estate that I had from the US and then brought that with me.
Yeah.
You know, not only the knowledge of, you know, doing transactions, but the knowledge of, you know, how to market, you know, bring in both buyers and sellers, you know, how to negotiate deals.
What rules or lack of rules, because this was early 2000s-ish, like what rules or lack of rules, like did you start doing deals over there and you're like, holy crap, it's very different from stateside?
Well, you know, it's different, but the framework is similar. Okay. So, well, one, you don't need a license to do any real estate in Costa Rica. Okay. We did have this, there was an organization formed, and I did, you know, register with them and go through their training. It was called the Global Association of Realtors or something like that. It was affiliated with NAR, and they were trying to push to have, you know, licensure done and create an MLS. But even till today, there's still no MLS in any Central American countries that I'm familiar with. So there was no real transparency in the deals. You know, appraisals, yes, you can get an appraisal. Typically wasn't a requirement to do a closing. And, you know, most people buying relied heavily on, you know, the brokers and agents in the area to provide them with information. You know, so wasn't a lot of transparency. Everything's obviously in a different language, in Spanish. The legal system's different there. It doesn't work the same, but there was definitely a lack of transparency, you know, and it was a little bit of the Wild West. At that time, things were not even digitalized. You know, you had to like go do a lookup of search property in the national capital, and you had to send somebody to do it and like get these pieces of paper and pull surveys and titles. And it wasn't like a portal you could just go on, log on to and look people's stuff up. You know, you weren't looking at the property appraiser's website. Mm-hmm. You know, you had to physically go do it. Now, in today's age, that has changed, and they have digitalized everything, and there's a lot more transparency, and there's a lot more regulations, and that came with also a lot more taxes, you know, and so, you know, the government figured they can make more money out of it. There's still, as far as I know, no required licensing for real estate professionals in Costa Rica, nor Nicaragua or Panama for that matter. But we continued at that time to even do deals back here in the States. You know, we were doing fix and flips. I mean, we were putting deals together. But the vast majority of the deals we did were there, obviously, because that's where we were located.
Yeah. And then the process of being there for, how long were you there?
10 years.
10 years. You bought a hotel. You developed a 128 lot community, gated community. Ish. I sometimes I forget numbers, so apologize if I got the numbers screwed up. And you bought an island. Talk to me about the island.
Well, the island ultimately, you know, we put together a few guys that we were working, guys I got to be close with, that we were putting deals together, and it ended up being very difficult. So we had a great deal. We were looking to get into Panama. We were looking for something different to differentiate the deal. And obviously we're going to be selling this product ultimately to foreigners, right? Mainly people in the US, Canada, you know, Europe, but primarily US buyers. Well, there were ended up being tremendous amount of problems with titles on islands in Panama. I mean, it was a major issue, and there was a lot of money spent on legal after we had purchased it, and it really slowed the deal down. And we ended up missing the market on that deal. I exited out of that deal in probably 2011 or somewhere around there, and I actually am selling my equity to my partners. And I think today they've finally made it mostly work, and they sold off most of the lots and built some houses on the island. But it was very complicated, and it definitely was a more difficult deal than we anticipated. And
So
poor timing for the market.
timing's in real estate they say location, location, location. I think it's location and timing. When it comes to buying an island, right? Like in my mind, as a deal maker, right? Like that would be the top of the deal making thing, right? I bought an island. I have no desire to ever be back in New York. I lived in New York. I have no desire to buy a skyscraper. I have no desire to, get those kind of things. But to buy an island, that sounds cool. You bought that.
Oh, it was really cool, man. It was super cool. We got in boats, we went there, we had all kinds of fun stuff to figure out the deal, negotiating the deal. And it was a lot of fun to be had in the process of buying it. I think we're a little bit naive at that time. I mean, I'm 44. So this is going back when we purchased that island in 2007. I was 30 years old.
Timing on that, right before the market drops.
That's what I'm saying. By the time we got their entitlements and we were getting permitting, I mean, the market was done. I mean, it was done. We missed it. We missed the mark, unfortunately. But it was a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, I bet. Sometimes financial disasters, there's fun in the process of it. What was what's the cost for an island in 2007?
So that island, it's been a long time, man, but I think it was nearly 200 acres. And I think we paid $2 million.
Okay. Nice. That's pretty cool. Now, is it completely undeveloped, like Jurassic Park kind of style?
Yeah, it was completely underdeveloped, and it looked very much like Jurassic Park.
Awesome. Oh, dude, that's so cool. Did you guys ever camp there?
I did not. There was some other islands in this area, and this is in Panama, near the largest city near there is a place called David that has an airport and everything, and it's near the Costa Rican border. This island was a bunch of other islands in the area, and there was a couple other islands that people had done stuff on. There was a little hotel, like a 15-minute boat ride away. So I mean, typically we were staying at this other hotel. There was a really neat hotel that was off the grid, and kind of like a luxury off the grid place that we would stay. We didn't camp on the island. And ultimately there was a house built there that people would use. But there's a lot of complexities about, bringing, how do you get utilities and water and build on an island? It's super complicated, right?
If that deal came across your plate today, with market the way it is, how would you approach that deal different today than you did 16 years ago, 15 years ago?
Well, I know so much more now than I did then, and to gone through that process, and then to have to deal with all the legal things that were involved after we closed on the property and title. I mean, look, there's a lot of issues about buying property in places like that, like in Central America in general. And people ask me all the time, like, hey, I'm thinking about buying something in Costa Rica. What do you think? And I was like, I probably wouldn't buy it, because you can't put debt on it if you're a foreigner. Very difficult to acquire debt. The rental market is fairly sporadic unless you're in a very high traffic area. There's a lot of competition. So what I learn now and what I focus on at this point in real estate, if I'm making any investment in real estate, is that I want cash flowing properties. I want to be able to leverage the property, have the cash flow, cover debt service, and, hold it long term and improve cap rates, so I can improve the overall, values. At that time, as a land basically we were land flippers. We were developing land and flipping lots and selling a dream. And I think there's a lot of legal complexities. I would say the pitfalls and what I learned from those deals was, one, you got to be really, really capitalized, okay? Because land in Central America is not very liquid. Two, you better really do a tremendous amount of due diligence, a lot of engineering. You need to spend the money up front to really determine if the deal is worth acquiring. And you better have a great legal team to really do your due diligence.
A local legal team, right?
Right. It has to be a local legal team, and they better be really good.
Yeah.
And even they can be the best, and there's still issues. Yeah. So I mean, Latin America is a difficult place to do real estate business, especially if you're not local. I mean, I spoke the language. I still speak the language, obviously, but and I had a definite strategic advantage from that standpoint. But there's still a lot of pitfalls, man.
Did you ever go to a meeting where people are talking Spanish and then they didn't expect you, the surfer
100%
to know Spanish, and then you
all the time? It's definitely a little secret weapon, man. Getting in a boardroom with a bunch of people and they think you don't know what they're saying.
Yeah.
It definitely happened on numerous occasions. Yeah.
Now, my buddy spent some time in Costa Rica, and there's a saying in Costa Rica, "Vai deli," or what is it means like
Pura vida?
Yeah, Pura vida. Pura vida, right? What does that mean?
Yeah, pure life.
Pure life. Cool. Yeah,
it means I'm going to smile and shake your hand in front of you, but in the meantime, I'm going to reach around your back pocket and steal your wallet.
Pura vida, hands up. Hands up,
yeah.
Americano.
it means that everything's all good, man. No matter what, bro. It's all good, man. Don't worry.
Yeah.
No, it's a great country. They're great people, really. It's a great place.
So as you came back in 2012 and, you set up shop here. What was it like landing back in the States? Because were you starting from scratch, or did you?
Yeah, I mean, I had a little bit of, I came back here with no real plan. Basically, my wife had really, gotten tired of living in Central America, and we were pregnant with our fourth child. And
fourth?
I think we have 4 children.
Holy
and
man.
So she was pretty, I think she'd pretty much had enough. She's a trooper, and, she's traveled around and followed me all over the place, but I think she'd had enough of living. And we weren't living in the beach, and she loved the beach there, but we started living in the city because we were running a call center, and it just wasn't as fun living in the city. It's a lot. It was very complicated. So, we didn't have a huge plan coming back, and it took us a while to figure things out. And when we came back, I mean, we moved back to St. Augustine in January 2012. I mean, real estate, I wish I had the foresight to buy every single thing I saw in 2012.
Totally.
Because, man, you would have done a 5X on pretty much anything that you touched,
Man, I know. Well, it's the thing. Like every time I went out the door, I was in real estate for a while, and anytime I went to go look at real estate, I was like, too expensive. There's no way. Because after getting burnt, for me, I got burnt in 2006. I was doing spec houses, and the market started to collapse for me a year and a half earlier than the rest of the world because we were building on speculation. And every time I look at real estate after that, I was like, too expensive. I was like, no way people could sustain that. Quadruple the prices. I'm like, crap, I missed that again,
Oh yeah.
With real estate, it's so cool. And you have real estate, and then you have the marketing for real estate. So, why'd you decide to kind of do both of those?
I mean, quite honestly, I've never really enjoyed residential real estate, like acting as a broker or realtor. And today I am neither. I'm not a broker nor a realtor. I do have an ownership in a real estate brokerage, but my dad's actually the broker of record of that company. And, I support the people there by helping out with the marketing. That's my main role in that business. But what I really came to learn that I love making deals. Like if it's my own deal, I love putting my own deals together. I love, figuring out how to structure deals, bringing in the right partners if necessary, and just finding deals, but I really don't enjoy, dealing with the everyday consumer. but I really do enjoy the marketing side of it. I love technology. I'm a bit of a tech geek, and I love figuring out, how to, get the right people to the right place at the right time, and creating a high intent lead for selling a piece of property. And there's a lot of fun about generating content around real estate. A lot of real estate. It's beautiful. It's really fun to build the content and make the content. So whether that's video or whatever you're doing, but it's just really fun. It's a fun problem to solve, and I found that a lot of people aren't really that good at it. So it was just a niche that I fell into. I had to bootstrap a lot of stuff in Costa Rica, man, when the internet barely existed. There was no Facebook marketing in 2004. So a lot of email marketing done, a lot of phone calls. But it all just kind of came together that way. And, one of the strategies that we've done, it worked out well, is some of the smaller, I'm not talking about national home builders or even guys doing, 300 and 400 units a year, but the smaller guys that are regional, that are putting together small projects, and they're focused on, doing their deals and building their communities or building their houses or whatever. And, they might not have a sales force, and, it's if you want to create and maintain certain continuity within your brand and what you're doing, you need to have everything aligned. So in some cases, we'll actually take agents from our brokerage. We'll put them on site for a smaller builder developer. And then, we'll not only handle the sales, but we'll handle all the marketing, everything from print collateral to 3D renderings, and then obviously driving traffic, creating funnels, conversions, using software, putting together CRMs and making sure there's good trackable transparency with the marketing and maximizing the ROI for our customers on their marketing dollars.
So you could dive in for a small home builder and kind of take care of, like, as an outsourced or partner sales and marketing team.
Correct. That's
you
it.
You can handle the transactions.
That's right.
Okay. That's pretty cool, man. And smart for you, because if you're good at the lead generation side of it and you could close the deal, essentially you're feeding yourself, right?
That's right.
You have the ability to do that. What's the future look like for you as you're building out, your marketing group? I think you have a real estate fund. You're doing your own real estate deals. Tell us a little bit more about your fund and what does the future look like for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we're the fund is I'm working on that alongside with some friends of mine, and that started off us doing the marketing, and so we're handling all the marketing for the fund, and and looking for some deals and helping out with various aspects of the fund. And I'm the acting COO of a fund called Access Income Fund. That's accessincomefund.com. So the fund currently has the group has about $350 million of the real estate, and it's all based on value add, utilizing a lot of tax credits, both state and federal, and also the ability to generate and sell those tax credits on a marketplace for larger companies who want to buy those tax credits. So we're able to increase the value of these pieces of property by using, some strategic opportunities that exist in the marketplace. A lot of it's some of its historic buildings. The fund basically has about 2 city blocks in downtown Jacksonville, 5 projects, one of which is Independent Life Building, which is a 16-story building that was a traditionally office that's now being turned into multifamily. Will be retail on the bottom. There's a parking deck going along with that also supports, the town of, the city of Jacksonville will be, paid parking. Some other multifamily down there, some hotels. All of it is the ability to arbitrage, finding an arbitrage with undervalued assets, and then creating more value, to increase the value of that, increase the equity of those buildings. The fund is essentially a pool of debt. So we are only working with accredited investors. Minimum investment is $50,000. And, basically that fund serves as the debt to either rehab or build these other projects. But all of the projects that are in play have already been purchased with other funds, with other equity partners. We're also looking at we have a project in the works that is there'll be a couple hundred homes, all built, new homes, single family homes for rent. There's an apartment building going up there in Ocala as well, just right there near the hospital.
Nice.
It's garden style apartments project over in Daytona Beach. So it's all income producing projects, and with guaranteed returns around 9% paid out quarterly, with certain other share classes that can potentially allow for up to 17% annual returns. So
nice.
That's it.
The project in Ocala, is that right off 8th Street?
It's right over there by the hospital, just south of there. I don't know if that's 8th Street. You know, like Lifetime Fitness is?
Yeah.
I don't know if that still exists. Yeah, it's over in that area. There's a project underway. So Brian Greiner, who's a friend of mine, he's the principal of the fund, and his in-laws are from there in Ocala as well. And so he's leading that project. That's something he's doing with them.
Super cool, man. Ocala's booming. How things over in St. Augustine in terms of growth in real estate?
It is going bonkers, man. It's crazy. St. Johns County, I think, is in the top 10 growing counties in the country. Our sleepy little town is definitely changing. Interesting thing about St. Augustine, traditionally, very much just a tourist-driven economy, which it still is. About 6.5 million tourists a year, I think, and it attributes to about $3 billion in revenue for the city. So the problem is that there's no place for anybody to live that works, in the service industry or that industry. We've now, all the snowbirds and people from the north, moving down, they typically just pass by St. Augustine, going to South Florida or Southwest Florida. Cali gets quite a few on top of the world, all that, the villages, a lot of people went there, but we've started to see a lot of people move to St. Augustine. The secret's out, and property values are through the roof. I mean, anything in that St. Augustine Beach proper or St. Augustine City proper is, I'd say in the last 5 years has probably done a 4X. So values are through the roof, man, through the roof.
Totally. I tell people, because I see a lot of New York and California license plates in Florida now. And I tell them, you're allowed to come to Florida, bring your money, but you're not allowed to vote. And so I'm like, come on, snowbirds, that's fine.
Don't New York our Florida.
Don't New York our Florida. So for all my northern friends, you know what you mean. You know what I mean here.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
So, So, Chip, you've got your wife's getting into real estate. You've been in it for a long time. Your kid's getting into real estate. What do you think the future of the market's going to be? You and I, got burnt in 06 through 09-ish. What do you think? I'm recording this beginning of 2022. We're in, what is it? January, February, March, April. I have to count still. We're in April. What do you think the future of the market looks like?
Man, if everybody wishes they had a crystal ball right now, because we all want to make sure we don't make those same mistakes, right? We all want to come out the other side, or if there is a major downturn, we want to be cashed up and ready, for that event, right?
Yeah, totally.
I hope that nothing bad happens. I hope that we don't that the Fed does the right thing, that inflation slows, and they do it in a way that doesn't, blow everything up. I think I was listening to some things this morning, and everybody has, opposing views, right? I think that there's we obviously have to be careful as interest rates rise, and how does that affect affordability? If we weren't seeing rising wages, then I think that would be more concerning. It's definitely not the same scenario as, 06, 08 timeframe. It's a totally different thing going on. We have other external factors like this war in Ukraine and shortages and supply chain breakage and increased prices and materials and lack of supply of materials and all kinds of things affecting things. Now, I think that supply in the resale market or residential is very low, but I have seen some numbers that show new home starts as well as new home completions are up, so I think it really all comes down to affordability. There's still just a tremendous amount of capital out there. There's so much cash in the market, tons of people moving and migration, a lot of migration fueling things here in Florida and other states. But ultimately, I don't know. I think if we see, I think hopefully we don't have a recession. I know some people are calling for potentially a recession type environment by the end of the year. As the Fed pushes up rates and maybe overly slows the economy, but there's a lot of factors at play. We definitely aren't. We're definitely not in a 06, 07 bubble. Just very different factors.
Cool, man. I appreciate your input. Yeah, I think cashing up, as long as inflation doesn't kill our dollar too much, I think cashing up's smart. We're looking at what we're going to do if we do experience another downturn, my investors and I. So it'd be interesting to see. Nobody knows. That's one of the things that I love about the show and doing these interviews, asking people's opinions. I mean, everybody has them and none of them are great, but at least we get different perspectives on where the market's going. So let me just throw this out there to the audience, Blaine. If you have views on what the real estate market is doing, would love to hear about it on the Deal Scout as we're looking for deals, putting deals and deal makers together on the show. That's the purpose of the show. We'd love to hear your thoughts on deals. So head on over to thedealscout.com. There's a little microphone in the bottom right-hand corner. You could leave me a voice message, or you could use the contact button and send me a message, maybe get you on the show. But, Chip, one of the things I like to do on the show is because I ask a lot of, personal questions and business questions, deal questions and such. I got a deck of cards that have questions on them. So I like to outsource some of my questions. So tell me when to stop, and I'll ask you one of these questions.
All right, stop.
All right. So the question, sir, is, okay, I've seen this one before, but I like it. And I think I bet you, I'm going to write down what I think your answer is, and then I'll hold it up. Okay? Okay. If everyone had to decide on their career path at age 6, what would your life look like now? What would you be doing?
Oh, shit.
So if you had to decide on your career at age 6,
age
what would you
6, do? I wanted to be an anesthesiologist.
What?
Yeah. Only reason because I heard they made like $300,000. So
at age 6? Nice. I was wrong. I put surfer.
Well, I hadn't even surfed at age 6. I was a skateboarder. I was landlocked there in Ocala, man. I didn't actually pick up a surfboard until I was 15.
Tony Hawk. Did you have one of those Tony Hawk boards with the double tails and you could kick flip that thing?
I was a little bit before that. I had a Christian Hosoi. I had some other Pal Peralta boards, but that was when they were still flat. They only had a tail. There was no nose.
Did you? I had a Nash. I was 6. Remember Nashes?
Oh, I definitely had a Nash. That was my first board for sure. Plastic Nash.
Yeah, with some Swiss wheels, the big squishy ones.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I did. All right. Yeah, I totally would have guessed surfer. Anesthesiologist at age 6. Holy moly. Putting people to sleep. Awesome.
I don't think I really knew what it meant.
You just saw money, dollar signs, and your mom and your dad were probably like, yes, anesthesiologist. That's what you need to be when you grow up. Awesome. Hey, Chip, in this interview, what questions should I have asked you that I screwed up and didn't ask you?
Man, I think you did a great job asking some very, very good questions. I don't know, man. That's a hard one to answer. I feel really good about all the questions you've asked. I mean, I think that there is. All
right, I got another
one. I think one of the important. Go ahead.
Wait, if you got one, you go for it, man.
Well, I just one thing. I mean, I want to say is that, and going back to kind of what's going to happen in this market, and what the future holds, and I think the thing to keep into consideration is the same old thinking is always going to equal the same old results. And so I think that you have to be innovative. You have to be looking for new opportunities and new ways to put things together to make it happen. And I think if you can do that, you can find strategic advantages. Yeah. And I think that, I've come to realize that strategic advantages are one of the only ways you can really win, Now, whether that be a strategic advantage because you're able to source capital really good, or you're able to source debt, or you're able to source deals, in real estate specifically. But, I mean, you got to look for some advantage because there's a lot of competition these days, no matter what industry you're in, right?
Totally. Give me one more tip on buying islands that you learned the hard way. Because
You're really hung up on this island.
There's a guy out there
Man.
who wants to buy an island, including me. What's a tip you have?
Make sure you have enough money to buy it twice.
How to buy an island? Get ready to buy it twice, right?
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. It's certainly not. Not. You better buy it right. Either buy it right or be really, really, really willing to invest a lot of money. I don't know if buying an island is. I think there's easier ways to make money. If you're doing it for fun, if you're doing it because you love the island, do it. But if you're doing it to try to make $1, I'm not so sure about it.
Yeah, if you got throwaway money, then it might be good.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
right.
Hey, if there's any deal maker out there who wants to buy an island, you should call Chip and ask him his experience. I mean, he probably has one to sell to you. Chip, where's a good place?
Find one.
I'll find you an island. I'll find you a beautiful island with a beautiful bridge attached to it. What's a good place for people to connect with you and do a deal with you, Chip?
Well, I'd ask them to follow me on Instagram at Chip McGraw. It's my handle. That's a good place to connect with me on Instagram. Follow me there. I put a lot of insight up there and try to provide good content to people. You can also reach me at chip@mcgrawnow.com. And mcgrawnow.com is my marketing company's website. So those are two places to find me quite easily.
Awesome. And we'll put those in the show notes. So you guys listening, jogging, surfing, whatever, however you're absorbing this content, if you go down to our show notes, all of our guest contact information's there. Connect with them directly. As always, reach out to them and say thanks for being on the show. If you're working on a deal, want to talk about a deal here on the show, head on over to thedealscout.com. You can use the little microphone in the corner to leave a voice message for me or fill out a contact form, maybe get you on the show next. Chip, one last question. The world's falling apart and you have to run in your house and you could only grab one of your surfboards. Which surfboard are you grabbing and why?
That's going to be my 6-1 Chili. It's called the Volume 2.
Ooh,
and it is Volume 2, man. It's a little bit beefy, so it floats my fat behind in most conditions. But it also has it's a really performance board, so it pretty much works in most conditions.
How many fins does it have?
It's a thruster. It's a 3-fin board.
Okay. How tall are you?
I'm 5'10".
Okay, so 6'1", awesome, man. And it floats you pretty good?
Yeah, it's 32.5 liters.
Oh, awesome. Well, I don't know what that means, but it sounds great. Awesome. Well, Chip, thanks for being on the show, ladies and gentlemen out there. Hope you enjoyed this. As always, reach out to our guests, say thanks. And if you're working on a deal, thedealscout.com is a place to go to talk about deals. And till then, we'll talk to you all on the next episode. See you, everybody.